Popote pale ulipo, ujambo, umewadia wakati wa kukujuza mengi tuliokuandalia kwenye taarifa zetu za Kirk Machweo. Karibu tuandamane mwanzo hadi tamati. Mimi ni Sambu. Tuanze na taarifa kuu kuhusiana na mbunge wa Kitui Mashariki Nimrod Mbai alitiwa mbaroni mapema leo hii kwa kumshambulia afisa wa Kenya Power ambaye anadaiwa kumkatia umeme wake nyumbani kwake huko Kitengela. Yanajiri baada ya mbunge huyo kunaswa katika video akimtishia na kisha kumshambulia mfanyakazi huyo wa KPLC, jambo lililozua hisia mseto kwenye mitandao ya kijamii. Wakati huo kundi la wafanyikazi wa shirika la umeme nchini KPLC wamefanya maandamano katika mji wa Kitengela kutokana na kushambuliwa kwa mmoja wao na mbunge Nimrod Mbai. Aida Munzasi anaarifu kwa kina.
Baada ya video hii kusambaa kwenye mitandao ya kijamii Jumanne ikimnasa mbunge wa Kitui Nimrod Mbai akimshambulia afisa huyu wa kampuni ya KPLC, sasa mbunge huyu alikamatwa kutokana na kosa hilo, huku wengi wakikashifu hatua ya mbunge huyo. Baada ya kufikishwa kwenye kituo cha polisi katika kaunti ya Kajiado na kuachiliwa kwa dhamana, Nimrod Mbai anatarajiwa kufikishwa mahakamani baadaye. Ni kutokana na kisa hiki ambapo wafanyikazi wa KPLC walifanya maandamano katika mji wa Kitengela wakikashifu hatua ya mwenzao kushambuliwa. Wakati huo uongozi wa Kenya Power nchini umekashifu hatua ya mfanyikazi huyo kushambuliwa pamoja na wafanyikazi wengine wa kampuni hiyo ya kusambaza umeme.
We regrettably note an emerging trend of violent attacks against our staff. The list of these incidences happened on Monday, 3rd July 2023 in Kitengela, where our staff were attacked by the Kitui East Member of Parliament Nimrod Mbai. We've had, in the recent past, we have had a number of cases. There was one in Utange where one wielded a panga against a staff who was on top undertaking his duties. There was also a case in Nyandarua where a member of staff and the CBM were assaulted while undertaking their duties of disconnection due to the fact that the payments had not been undertaken.
Uongozi wa Kenya Power unapotoa taarifa hii, sasa mbunge Nimrod Mbai anasubiriwa kufikishwa mahakamani na kujibu mashtaka yatakayomkabili kuhusiana na kisa hicho cha ushambuliaji. Jina langu ni Aida Munzati.
Niko mvutano kati ya waendesha bodaboda na wale wahudumu wa tuktuk Thika mjini kwenye kaunti ya Kiambu umeshuhudiwa kufuatia kutolewa kwa sehemu za kuegeshea na unyang'anyi. Kulingana na wahudumu wa tuktuk, wenzao wa bodaboda huwafurusha kutoka steni za kuegesha na wakiwa na lengo la kuondoa kabisa Thika mjini. Wana tuktuk nao wanadai kuwa shughuli nzima inachochewa na mwakilishi wadi John Njiro ambaye anadaiwa kuwalipa na bodaboda ili kuwafurusha. Hata hivyo, mwakilishi wadi huyo amepinga madai hayo na kudai kuwa wana tuktuk kupelekea mji wa Thika na kuchangia mji huo kutokuwa na mpangilio.
Wakati tunaandaa kuwa city, mimi kama mmoja wa kamati ile naandaa hiyo city, tunataka kuweka mambo taratibu. Tunataka kuwapangia na tumeanza kutengeza pale Christina Garden opposite. Tunataka watu hao wanapumzika hapo. Tumeweka mikakati na gavana wetu wa Kiambu ni mshukuru kwanza na ile mikakati tumeweka. Ile shamba tumepewa Delmonte anataka kugawa mambo mengine iende huko pande hiyo kama stadium na nini, na tuko tayari na tunamsupport.
Kusema ukweli, hawa watu wa pikipiki, sisi ni watu wa pikipiki na watu wa tuktuk wameungana, wameenda kwa sababu wameshindwa na kazi yao, wanakuja sasa kwa mashimo zetu kuja kutuharibia kazi. Mali sisi tunalipisha 50 ndio wanakuja kulipisha mbao. Sasa vita iko katikati yetu na wao. Kama wangekuwa wanalipisha 50 kama sisi, ingekuwa at least.
Na watu 4 wamefariki na wengine 8 kulazwa baada ya kubugia pombe haramu eneo la Kuboya, kaunti ya Migori. 4 hao waliofariki ni ikiwemo muuzaji ambao wanadaiwa kubugia kileo kilichokuwa na sumu. Katika kudhibitisha kisa hicho, ripoti ya polisi katika eneo la Kuria Magharibi imedokeza kuwa waliolazwa wako kwenye hali mbaya zaidi. Kulingana na taarifa, wanaonyesha dalili za kupoteza uwezo wa kuona, matatizo ya kupumua na kulemaa kwenye kuongea. Wakazi wa eneo hilo wanataka kusitishwa kwa uuzaji wa pombe haramu kikamilifu katika eneo hilo.
Tuna majonzi na masikitiko makubwa sana kwa sababu hatuwezi kupoteza ndugu 4. Wengine kama 5 au 6 wako hospitalini, wako katika hali mahututi. Tunashangaa sana. Ni kitu gani hiki? Sasa serikali jamani, Kenya tunapotea au tunaongezeka? Tuna hasira sana, tuna majonzi sana. Tunaomba sana serikali tusaidie, tuangalie kama ni pombe hii basi pombe haramu iondolewe.
So far we've attended to 6 patients in our facility from the community, which are brought in from the community, 2 of them from facilities around our facility. So it was an isolated incident by that time. So unfortunately in the morning around 8 a.m. we got other multiple cases coming in. So now we noticed.
Na kwingineko, washukiwa 4 walikamatwa na wengine 3 kufanikiwa kukwepa katika msako uliowanasa na lita 520 za pombe haramu katika eneo la Kibunga, kaunti ya Tharaka Nithi. Msimamizi wa kaunti ndogo ya Tharaka, Abraham Mothengi, amesema kuwa asasi za serikali zitazidi kuendesha operesheni hiyo hadi kuhakikisha kuwa maeneo yanayouza pombe ni yale yaliyopewa leseni na serikali.
Na hapa kama Kibonga ikiwa imekuwa mingi, ndio hii tumeipigana nayo siku ya leo 520 liters, na tunatayarisha hata wengine wale wanaendelea, vita bado inaendelea. Tukiwa as a team tunajua kwamba tunaweza kupigana nayo tukiwa na askari wetu na the strong team ambao tuko nayo.
Hapa Marimanti Ward tumeanza Kibonga, hii kazi itaendelea mpaka Nkond, Chekariga na Tharaka Nithi kaunti mzima. Tuhakikishe hakuna mahali inauzwa hii reset mburiu. Ya marking Kibonga ikuwe ni reset mburiu free tauni yote mzima. Na hao watahakikisha watakuwa kama example ya wengi.
Na serikali ya Kenya imesitisha ufunguzi wa mipaka ya Kenya na Somalia kwa muda usiojulikana. Kulingana na waziri wa usalama Profesa Kithure Kindiki, ni kuwa hatua hiyo ni muhimu kwa usalama wa taifa kufuatia kuongezeka kwa mashambulizi ya kigaidi katika miezi ya hivi karibuni. Kulingana na Kindiki, serikali inaweka kipaumbele usalama wa Wakenya wote.
Kenya na ya Somalia zimeanza mazungumzo ya kufungua mipaka yetu, pande ya Mandera, pande ya hapa Liboi, pande ya Kiunga na sehemu zingine za mipakani. Mpango hatutarudi nyuma katika huo mpango, tutaendelea, lakini kwa sasa kwa sababu katika mwezi mmoja ama miwili ambayo imepita tumeona hao wakora wameanza kutatiza amani, tumesimamisha huo utaratibu kwa muda kidogo. Kwanza kabisa tushughulikie hao magaidi, tuwafurushe, alafu tutafungua mipaka yetu. Na
gavana wa kaunti ya Tharaka Nithi Muthomi Njuki leo hii ametembelea kuzuru makao makuu ya kanisa la Kipresbiteri PCA na kufanya mazungumzo na moderator wa kanisa hilo Mchungaji Thegu Mutai. Kwenye mazungumzo kati ya wawili hao yaliangazia namna kaunti ya Tharaka Nithi na kanisa la PCA zinaweza kushirikiana katika kuboresha utoaji huduma za afya kwa manufaa ya wakazi wa kaunti hiyo. Haya yanajiri ikizingatiwa kuwa hospitali ya PCA Chogoria iliyoko katika kaunti ya Tharaka Nithi na inayoshirikiana na baadhi ya hospitali za serikali katika kuimarisha utoaji huduma za afya. Hebu tusikize alikuwa na yapi ya kusema gavana Muthomi Njuki kuhusiana na ushirikiano kati ya kaunti hiyo na kanisa la PCA.
Today I came basically to discuss our partnership between the PCA Foundation and Tharaka Nithi County on only one aspect, which is health, because we normally partner in very many other aspects. There are schools, there are also some projects in the community, water projects, and so on and so forth. But today I was only here on health, because it's one area we have convergence as government and also the church. If you look in Tharaka Nithi, we have 3 level 5 hospitals. We have a public one, which is Chuka, we have a private one, and there's one that is faith-based called Chogoria Hospital, which is operated by PCA. Our synergy in working for the people, because at one time you'll find the Chogoria Hospital has referrals from Chuka Hospital, and vice versa. Sometimes people go to Chogoria Hospital and sometimes they are referred to Chuka, and so on and so forth. The realization that we do not have private citizens in Kenya, we just have Kenyan citizens, is what makes these institutions to have synergy in working. It is the reason why you find the government sometimes second medics to these hospitals just to give them a boost. Because if you don't do that, if today Chogoria Hospital failed in its responsibility, the queues and the traffic would have in our public facilities we can't handle. That is why we must take care of them at that level what they can afford, because this is what they're strong in, and what we are strong in is what we take care of each other. So I came here today to discuss a partnership, not just at the level 5, but we also have dispensaries in the communities which we also partner, and also in our few of our institutions. So that is what brings me here today, and we had a very good conversation with the moderator, and we're going to strengthen that relationship.
Na mtazamaji, kufikia hapo sina la ziada, ndipo nafikia kilele na mwisho wa matangazo ya taarifa za Kirk Machweo. Mwenyezi Mungu akipenda tuweze kupatana tena wakati mwingine, ila kwa sasa nikutakia usiku mwanana. Kwa heri. Mimi ni Sambu.
School, we may not meet in other places, but when it comes to health, we have to meet at where. Let me first and foremost thank you for giving me this opportunity to address Kenyans, or to talk to Kenyans about a very, very pertinent topic, that is health. That is a convergence point for every human being. We may not meet in schools because everybody does not go to school. We may not meet in other places, but when it comes to health, we have to meet at where the rubber meets the road, and that is at the point of need of health, because anybody who has a body, of course, requires attention to health. In Kenya, as a developing country, where we're coming from is a situation where health has been for those who can afford, and those who cannot afford are usually left to the dogs. Let me put it like that. We are not very far from where we were before independence, where we were using traditional medicine, and sometimes you rely on immunity, self-attained immunity. Sometimes you rely on intervention by probably prayers, you know. But now we've reached a point where we know that good medical care prolonged people's lives. So the life expectancy of most Kenyans is going up because technology is improving. However, we are at a point where it's not everybody who can afford good medical care. And if you look at the model of developed countries, the healthcare is normally a rate where the particular governments normally provide healthcare. And when they do it, they do it by ensuring that the poor are taken care by the rich who contribute to a scheme. And that is why we, although National Hospital Insurance Fund, called NHIF, has been there for very many years, it is a preserve of the rich, or those who can afford. And the government has been trying to universalize it, you know, make sure it's available for everybody. That is why the scheme had been reduced to a level where you contribute 500 and you are able to get your treatment when you're sick without paying for anything. But how many people have been able to afford that it's not only about affordability, it's about the culture catching up, where everybody feels it is doable, I can do it. And since it has been very difficult to sell to individuals, the government has decided to have universal health coverage, premised on that that insurance that is going to be like public insurance. And that, as we can see, the president has insisted that we must have different schemes depending on affordability, so that those who want more pay more, those who want almost nothing pay less, just to encourage the lower cadre who are not affording to pay more, and those who can afford to be able to pay for more people cannot be able to afford. The essence of this is that eventually we'll have enough kitty for the whole country. You know, insurance is usually like pooling resources together. It's not, people don't get sick at the same time. That is why it's possible for the resources that have been contributed in insurance to take care of the few who are sick. If you contribute a lot and you're not sick, you should not regret, because you don't be saying that I contribute too much and I don't use anything. Would you rather have been sick so that you use your money? Of course not. So people should understand the concept of when you pull the resources together, it takes care of those who get sick, which is usually a fraction. And if we can be able to attain that kitty, or rather accumulate enough resources, then they'll be able to take care of almost everybody who is sick, and the ones who are not sick still stays healthy. Because when you're surrounded by people who are being treated, you're more healthy also in terms of psychologically. We have been having a problem in Kenya, which is not unique to Kenya only. It's developing countries where, unless you are critically ill, you never bother with anything called medical attention. And that is a mistake we make. Because as we sit here, we could be sick. But unless there's a diagnosis, you will not know until when you get to the hospital and you're completely sick. So we've been dealing with curative, or rather curing, instead of prevention. And as a government, both levels of government now, we have decided to invest more on preventive measures, where we must find the disease before it becomes critical. Because bodies have their immune system of fighting the disease. If you discover conditions early, then you're able to deal with them. And how do you discover this? By having early diagnosis. And that can take place right in the village level, where we have started a system which has been implemented by a few counties for some time now, where you have the first level of primary or healthcare called primary healthcare, which is by the community health. They used to be called community health volunteers. We also have community health workers. Now we are calling them community health promoters. People who have been given a rebate by the county government, just an allowance. So they can spend 2 hours in a day going through households, and they profile the households. They check their blood pressure, test their sugar levels. They look at basic tests, including probably looking at your history. If you are a person who has been probably on a chronic disease, are you taking your drugs? And that way, they're able to detect issues early enough and report them to a local dispensary, and they are taken care of, instead of waiting until when they are critically sick and they go to form very long queues at the referral hospitals, which is level 5 and level 6, and sometimes most places level 4. So when we do that, that is preventive measure that curbs the disease at the source and reduces queues at the curative level. What happens to the cost of healthcare is it is cheaper, and it has been found to be 10 times cheaper when you take care of the disease early enough than when you wait until you fall sick. It becomes more expensive. You've seen today, if you are able to detect cancer early enough and you take medicine or you are given medication, it's much cheaper than when we start treating you to go do operations and all that. It's very expensive. In the same level, it's not only the diseases that are supposed to be happening that you take care of. We also have preventive measures by enhancing good health practices. For example, hygiene levels. Community health promoters have been known to promote hygiene through teaching how to wash hands, getting rid of human waste. There are communities in this country who have not been having toilets despite the Mzungu coming. By ensuring that every homestead has a toilet, it reduces those communicable diseases, you know, that are waterborne through transferring through human waste. That alone has been known to cut the number of diseases that are affecting communities by almost half. Things like washing clothes in the river. We are not saying that none that wash clothes in the rivers nowadays, they're there, but they have been taught, instead of washing them in the running water, you go with a container, you fetch and you go to the side and wash your clothes, and then get rid of that waste out there, and then you leave the water clean. All those hygienic standards have been able to ensure that we prevent the diseases from happening, and therefore it becomes cheaper even to treat the few that have been found to affect people. Lastly, the community, or what we call universal healthcare, is going to be premised on a concept we call primary care networks, which are going to be premised around the sub-counties, where you form some form of a committee that is composed of the government itself, the private players, like the private hospitals, the faith-based, like the ones that are sponsored by the churches, like a PCA, and they come together and they have personnel who are able to have a structure of containing the diseases at that level, in allowing referrals around all these three types of facilities. If you have a dispensary that is being operated by a private sector, another one being operated by a faith-based organization and government, they're in the space where they say that you are strong in for example, dialysis. We are strong in taking care of malaria. We are strong in this, and our referral system should be like this. And at the same time, the drug that we consume in this area is this much. And we want to treat people for free without them paying. And they can choose where to go. They can choose to go public, they can choose to go private. And as long as the government is providing resources, you are able to treat and you are given your reimbursement. It is still at the early stages, and soon it is going to be commissioned by the president. What does this do? It will solve the problem we have today of self-referrals. Self-referral is, we don't have structure in Kenya which refers you mostly to the highest level of treatment. Today I can get a headache and walk myself here to Kenyatta National Hospital. Nobody will tell me I'll not treat you, because there's nothing that requires me to have a referral for me to be given a headache. What happens when I'm checking myself there? The guys who have critical illness will be in the same queue with me. Probably I'm even delaying somebody here who needs to be treated immediately with my small headache, which would have been treated at the local dispensary here. But since I decided to check myself in, I am cutting off other people. This system will ensure that you cannot self-check yourself in a referral hospital without being cleared by this primary care network, primary healthcare network I was telling you about, the one I was telling you at the sub-county. That is the one that can give you clearance, whether you are from a dispensary of a private or faith-based or public. You must have a referral to go to level 4. What that will do, it will relieve the level 4s of that congestion, give them more resources, personnel, and even in terms of commodities to take care of the critically sick, while the other levels of health centers, dispensaries, and the community health promoters take care of those preliminary diseases. And it's going to have a very organized system, which is going to be free in the whole of Kenya, and we will have achieved what we call universal healthcare. Universal means that everybody has got access to that treatment without encumbrances of affordability. And that is what we are looking for as a government. If that is achieved, then we'll be in the same level with developed countries. Allow me to give this example. My daughter is schooling outside this country. One time she had a cold and she tried to go to the hospital, and she was told, we can only give you an appointment next week on this date. And when she called us, we were very worried. We almost went to pick her. However, somebody showed her at her doorstep to check the condition. See, does that condition, is it an emergency? Can it wait for that time next week? And she was told to wait. By the time we got to 3 days to the day of appointment, she was already healed. What does that mean? It means they have a system that does not allow you to check yourself into hospital and congest the hospital. But they also have people, and I'm sure that is a community health worker, who checked whether the condition warrant you going to that hospital. My son also schools out of the country, and he had a cut and he wanted to be operated. He was given an appointment for a week from that time, and he waited, but as he was eating also, someone went to check on him and check on the condition. He was given advice what not to do, and he still waited until the day to be operated. If it were in Kenya, both of them would have been at Kenyatta National Hospital or Nairobi Hospital, congesting and consuming the opportunity or the space for those who are critically sick. So that is the level we want to get to, where we have a structured way of treating our people. And basically, I would tell viewers that that is what universal healthcare is all about. First, putting order in our health system, and secondly, making sure everybody can afford. And at the same time, there is a cost to it. The rich must pay more, the poor must pay less, but everybody must agree to be in some form of insurance, which is NHIF, which is going to be reformed. You've heard we have NHIF reforms that are going to make sure that NHIF, the money that are contributed by Kenyans, is only used for the purpose of ensuring Kenyans get treatment. We have to move away from that scheme of an organization that needs to have investment. You hear at NHIF has built a hospital, or they have a house scheme where the money is put there so that it can earn profit, or it can be able to have some return. That is not the purpose of the funds that are contributed by Kenyans. It is only to ensure they take care of their health. I remember this, the Retirement Benefits Authority defending themselves, that when they get resources, they must invest them, so they make sure that when they are paying Kenyans for the retirement, you get your money usually earns some interest. But in NHIF, you don't have any interest. Even if you contribute even for 50 years and you've never gotten sick, you can never get your refund. It is not a revolving fund. It is an insurance policy. It's as simple as that.